Gundam.tk presents Double O Quanta. Hey again everybody, Robert184, 2Rs, 2Bs. As always, Gundam.tk. You've already seen the deboxing and the teaser and the parts, and now it's time to turn that pile into a model similar to the Double O riser there on the right, and see if it's anywhere near as good. Nothing too difficult about putting this together. You're going to start by putting the legs on here. Just make sure you follow the directions and put this rounded part forward when you attach it. Then you'll attach the hips here into the waist. The chest attaches on with a ball joint, and then the shoulders just pop in on this ball joint as well. And when that's completed, you are going to have one of the most unique unarmed Gundams, the Double O Quanta. And where I'm talking about the unique parts here is just when you look at it from the front, of course you're going to notice that the right shoulder of the Gundam is huge and it extends down to the forearm with that flap sticking out, and his left arm really does look very, very plain in comparison. In terms of other impressions though, I have to say that I like the colors, and one thing that I really noticed about Double O Gundam, especially when it's not in the riser form and Exia, is that their legs are just plain white with a little bit of gray and green, of course. But the blue knees really sort of pop out here, and that's sort of offset by the extra white that we have in the chest, which the other two didn't have, and the white on the shoulder, on the top of the shoulders. Here's a look at the bottom. And here's a look at the top. But now, call them asymmetrical all you want, but whoever is going to display the Double O Quanta without the shield on? So let's get him weaponized. To put the shield on, we're going to attach this arm into the backpack in the polycap, and then plug this into the polycap that's there on the back of the shield. The sword slides into hand with no difficulty, and then locks in here, hopefully giving us a pretty solid grip. And with everything in place, all of a sudden, the asymmetry appears in the opposite direction, with the left shoulder getting just huge, but the effect is still pretty positive, I think. I think the design of the Double O Quanta here owes a lot, of course, to the Double O Gundam 7 sword version, which was always pretty cool with the massive sword sticking off its shoulder. And here, for whatever reason, though I wasn't a big fan of this sword in the first place, it does seem to work now, and the gray parts don't bother me as much as I figured. And the shield, yeah, really, that looks pretty awesome from pretty much any angle. I figured it's better to talk about mobility with the shield on, but of course with the legs, because it has such minimal skirting there, really there's not going to be any interference moving that in pretty much any direction. You can move the skirts up as well, so you can get the legs to go off to give almost the full splits, and of course the ankles are great. His right arm as well, of course, is completely unencumbered by anything up at the top, can spin all around, and the bend of 90 degrees plus the wrist is still in place. Because of the number of attachment points, there's really not a lot. I don't feel that this thing is going to be in the way at all. You've got a polycap there at the bottom that's going to slide, and because of that it can also pivot here, it can also pivot up at the top, and then we have this blue part which allows it to pivot, and then it can also pivot up and down. So you can swing this forward and bring it right over its shoulder, almost right in front of the Gundam, and all the way to the back, as you've already seen from the instruction manual, as you plug it into the GN drive. So this arm, of course, is going to be encumbered, but only if you choose to put the shield in its way. At 18.3 meters, the height should line up almost perfectly with the 18-meter Gundam, and of course this is the real grade, and you can really get an idea of just how different these panels are with the very clean lines and the 3 plates over here, and what was it, 10 plates and the multiple colors over on the right. This is what I was looking forward to doing, putting the 3 lead Gundams, Setsuna, you are pretty cool for having 3 of them, right beside each other. So out of these 3, which one are your favorite? Do you still like Exia, Double O Riser, or the Trans Am Riser does it for you? Or how is Quanta in comparison? The heights are pretty much almost identical all the way across. Of course, with the same legs as the Double O Gundam, you're not going to be limited in the kind of poses you can pull off on the ground. However, most of the things they show on the box and in the manual are with him up on an action base. But then again, I'm pretty impressed with this, just because you can bring that shield forward more than I expected, and the arm sort of looks like it's holding it behind, but you don't have to deal with the, the pain of locking it into place. So, because of the posability with the ankles, there's a lot that you can do in kneeling poses as well. And because the shield can be offset, you are able to bring the left arm forward while still bringing the shield to the front and twisting it so you can have it displayed at just the angle that you desire. But by attaching either of the stands of the action base, you'll end up with what's a pretty similar pose, having a strikingly different kind of effect. And you get a similarly cool effect with a more forward slashing type of pose. To turn this into the Buster Rifle, you're just going to swap out this green part in the GN Sword 5, and then you're going to follow the directions and just take the bits off the shield and plug them in as you see here. So here's a look at the completed Buster Rifle, and you'll notice that I've just turned this on its side. But anyway, this is probably the kind of thing that I'm going to do once for this review and then never actually show off again. Alright, Buster Rifle, do your thing. Yep. But then again, there are ways that you can position the arm that it may stay in place for a short time anyway, if you have a little bit of luck. And here is one of those times. But I have to ask you, does that really look like a gun to you? So of course, much more interesting is the Buster Sword, and to transform it from the rifle here, it's very, very simple. You've got this final part attached down there, and all you're going to do is just bring that in and attach it on here. And there are some ridiculous swords in Gundam, and I'm looking at you, red and blue frame. But yeah, this is going to rank right up there, especially if they make this in 1/100th. And as I hoped, actually, the sword is going to balance itself a lot better than the rifle just because it's on a stronger mount mechanism, and you're able to attach this blue part into the forearm. And that effect, as ridiculous as it is, doesn't look all that bad. But one of the most intriguing parts for me was taking this shield and then flipping this out and combining the GN drives. And the directions do help you getting this into the right place, but ultimately at the end of the day, because this attachment mechanism here has so many moving parts, you're going to have to just be moving them around until by trial and error you get this to go in. But it doesn't plug in a way that it's going to stay in place. So really, even if it was separated by a little bit, it's not something that you're going to notice from the front of the Gundam when it's on display. I figured the Superman pose might look pretty good with the GN drives attached like that, but then again, one of the biggest problems is that because of the back mechanism, when you take a look there, you can see that the head is unable to bend forward and look up, so he's got to be flying and staring straight down. And I shouldn't forget to separate the blue part here for a little bit more of a cool effect. I have to say though that it would be pretty cool to have a display where he's flying like this with all of the bits attacking all around him. That wraps up my look at the model itself. So anyway, why don't you let me know what you think? Are you crazy about the design, the style, the look, the colors? What about the swords and the gimmicks? I have to say, the gimmicks, just the sheer number of them are pretty impressive so far. But let me know what you think. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like or don't like as you please. And please, remember Robert184 gundam.tk. Lots more reviews to come, and stay tuned for my final verdict. No, don't do it, Shin. He was like a father to you.